This is Ron Klopfanstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hi everybody, welcome to the hot seat. This is a Media Monday, and I am here with two artists. I was at the Munson Sidewalk Show 2 weeks ago. There's a picture that really captivated me. It was of a woman that kind of reminded me, it had a bit of a Gatsby-esque feel to it that I was just so taken with, because I just love the jazz age. I love all that stuff. And so, of course, I had to see who painted it. And it was somebody that I knew, Teresa Van Etten. She's here today. She's going to talk to us. So I wanted to talk to her all about this picture, how she made it, and art. And as a special treat, the woman in the picture, Fiona O'Downey herself, the person who's in the picture, the jazz age, flapper, fancy. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. She's here too, so we're going to meet her as well. So we're going to talk to the artist, we're going to talk to the subject, and we're going to talk to Fiona about her art as well. So welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much.
The famous Ron Klopfanstein show.
Well, I was going to say,
the
famous Fiona and the artist. And so Teresa, so how long, let's start with you, because you're the person who painted the picture.
Yes.
So can you describe to us a bit, like, when I saw the picture, that's like what I saw, because, you know, I instantly thought of Gatsby-esque, you know, with the pearls and stuff.
Well, that's Fiona's style.
I love that
she
style.
She dresses, 1920s,
I love it.
Yeah.
I was right.
Fiona and I go way back. We went to Munson School of Art together.
And when was that?
In the 1990s, 94,
wow, the 90s.
95, 96, yeah.
So you've been friends for like 30 years now.
Wow, time flies, yep.
Well, the thing about Fiona is that she looks like an artist, which I thought was amazing. So Fiona, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're an artist as well too. So and you
Thank
actually
you so
won.
much.
You're welcome. And you actually won a prize at the art show.
Yes, I did. I won a Jurors Ribbon Award for my painting called An Early Winter in Utica, New York.
Can you describe a little bit what the painting looked like?
Well, the painting was done from a photograph that I took looking eastward from the 7th floor of the Wind Hospital. And it's a scene of buildings, and it shows a steeple on Bank Place. But there's quite a few other buildings in the picture, but you only see the tops of them.
So let me ask you then, if you're looking out the window, when you decide, you know, what you see out the window is something you want to paint, how do you decide how to frame the picture in terms of like what to put in the composition, what to include?
Well, that's not easy. I don't do plein air work. I take the photograph and then I take a series of photographs. I take them back to my studio and I crop it, and sometimes I cut it up or move it around to make a picture that has some.
Speak up.
To make a picture that has some type of balance.
So you start with the photo first, and then you
Yes.
paint the picture based on the photo itself.
Yes.
So Teresa, is that your process too?
No.
What do you do? You are a painter as well. The
I'm
picture
a
that
sculptor.
Yeah.
You know, I have a long history of. I used to teach ceramic art in Corning.
Wow.
At Telford University when I was an older student. Fiona and I were not right out of high school and going to art school. This was our.
Well, that's good. I
later
was in
in
college
life.
when I was 51, so it's like,
there you go.
That's the way to do it.
So I hurt my back. I had to, I injured myself. I came back to Utica.
So this was the 90s.
No, after that I got a scholarship to Alfred University. Brought my 2 boys and my stepson, and I did it. Graduated when I was 40. Got a job in Corning right away. Taught ceramic art, sculpture, pottery for a number of years. And the doctor said no more, because I had 5 jobs altogether. Artists have to have more than one job.
So when you were living in Corning, you were teaching there?
I was living in Ulm, driving an hour to Corning at night to teach classes, worked substitute teacher at 3 schools,
That's
worked
exhausting.
at the newspaper half a day.
What did you do at the newspaper?
I was in circulation. I was in charge of the paper boys and girls, and then if somebody lost their paper or the kids would throw the bundle of newspapers in the river, I'd get a phone call. Yeah, I was the complaint department.
What paper was that?
The Cornell Evening Tribune.
Okay.
And it's sadly pretty much shut down. It's combined with the Etten and Bodega paper,
Unfortunately,
newspapers
that's
are
kind of, yeah, we're
going by the
seeing that.
wayside.
Well, it's not easy for artists either, I would imagine. I mean,
It is a challenge.
what is it like
Yeah.
to be in the market for both of you? Like, both of you are artists, you sell some of your work, you.
Well, I
What
do.
is it like?
Sure. I do sell, and I have a small group of people who continually buy my work. I suppose that I could try to expand more, but I don't seem to want to take my work that way.
Well, and if you already have collectors who are interested in the work that you do and who are
Yeah,
supporting.
I'm happy with what I have right now.
That's good.
How
It's
would each
different.
of you describe your art? Now, Teresa, you said you do sculpture as well
Well-
as painting, and you do some.
Well, I'm
you've
a
done some-
portrait. I've been studying portraiture for 8 years now with Yulia Lefkovich at Munson School of Art and the Community Art. It's non-credited, but it's a.
Uh-huh.
I learned so much from her, and I continue to learn. She is a realist painter of the old school. I mean,
Yeah.
she studied with people from Russia. Americans don't learn the way she learned.
Right.
And it's very.
Well, how so? Like, what is her approach that's different than, say, a teacher
It's
who
called
doesn't-
realist
Uh-huh.
painting, and there are so many levels, so many steps. You do the drawing technique is different than anything I learned in 2 art schools.
How so?
It's precise, and
Okay.
you measure with the, what do you call it? A knitting needle. We measure your
Oh,
face,
really?
we measure,
Okay.
and it's fascinating how it comes together, and then we do a first painting, a second painting, on top of a drawing,
Oh,
a third
okay.
painting. There's so many layers. And so, when I did this portrait of
I was
Fiona,
gonna say, so did you
was
use
so
that
fun.
process with the portrait that you painted of her?
Yes, I did.
So
And-
first you drew it, you sketched it out with like a pencil on a canvas?
No, we draw on a piece of paper,
Okay.
and then when it's finished, when you think that, the drawing's complete, you transfer it onto canvas with charcoal on the back. Then you take a knitting needle and trace the lines and
Oh, okay.
and then charcoal's good because oil paint, I'm an oil painter.
Yeah.
Oil will absorb the charcoal, it doesn't change it too much.
Okay.
And it's just,
So
I
you
love
would
the
paint
process.
on top of the charcoal, once you decided that the charcoal rendering is the way you want it.
Right.
And you apply the paint.
Right,
So, with you, you take a picture first. And then
Yes.
do you paint directly onto the canvas based on the picture, or do you draw it or sketch out first and outline?
Well, I have the photograph, and I have to crop the photograph because sometimes make subtle changes. So it doesn't always look exactly like a photograph, and it's not photographic realism. But I have to start out by gridding the canvas into 1-inch squares.
And
then,
how do you do that? Like with just a ruler and
Yeah, I use a metal straight edge.
Okay.
And then I draw the picture on top of the 1-inch squares. Everything has to be precise because I'm dealing with architectural detail. And once I get the picture on the canvas, then I can start the painting process. And the painting process might take anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
Wow, 3 to
Because the
6 months.
Painting,
yeah, mine also, yeah, at least.
So what about it would take that? And it's Fiona, it's okay if you want to like turn your mic so you're facing me. We can maybe Jim could help you with that.
okay.
So you can do it so you're facing. You don't have to. So that's interesting to me, like that it would that once you've gone through the process of like drawing it out either with charcoal or with a grid, you carefully laid it out. Maybe Jim could help you with that. He was going to help me with the microphone, just so that she could face me. It's just like
Yeah.
she talks. I think it's hard for her not to talking to her. So what are some of those things? Well, Teresa, I'll start with you first. What are some of those things that make it take a few months or take a few weeks, or you start to put paint down, and what happens? What do you look for?
Well, oil paint, I work with oils mainly. Fiona works with acrylics, which they dry at different rates.
Okay.
Oil paint doesn't dry. It
I thought they were the same
oxidizes.
thing. I didn't know that.
Oh, wait.
What's the difference? I thought there was
Acrylics are with water.
watercolor and oil. I didn't know there was
No,
a.
watercolor's totally different. I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
It must
No.
be hard to use, I would imagine, watercolor. The way it like
There's a
spreads.
technique. There's a technique
Yeah, it's
that's
the same
involved
thing,
with
probably.
each of the materials, each medium. Acrylics mix with water, and you can wash out your brush with water.
Oh, okay.
Oil paint, you use a mineral spirits or Gamsol. It's a modern, odorless chemical, but it's still toxic.
Yeah.
And as you thin it, the rule with oil paint is fat over lean. You start with thinly applied paint, and each layer gets thicker. The fat
I
over
see.
the lean, and then you use linseed oil to mix with your paint.
What
And
does that do when you mix the linseed oil with the paint?
It goes on more smoothly. Like
Okay.
I used to paint with acrylic on a raw canvas, and now I gesso it 3 times and sand it between each layer until it's smooth.
You sand it.
You have to get it smooth. This
Wow.
is the old
And I
school
imagine they
now.
usually do that very carefully too, so they don't sand out too much. Like,
Oh,
like
no,
do you
it
do that
takes
by
a lot
hand?
of-
Oh, it
yeah.
takes a lot of
It takes a
effort.
lot of effort to sand
Oh, so it's not
it,
something where you do like really carefully to.
No,
do
you
something.
gotta use a lot of elbow grease.
And
It's a
then
lot
what
of
is
work.
that? Does that? How does that leave your picture? Like, so like instead of like having the texture like the kind of like waves.
There's no
takes
you
a-
try to go for
You
no
wanna
texture.
get rid of that.
All
Okay.
smooth and flowing together,
Then
And-
once you've done that,
Yeah.
then is that the finished product, or is there more you have to?
Well, you
do?
have to wait 6 months to a year before you can apply varnish.
Oh, really? So once you're done, the paint has to like harden or dry for 6
Yeah,
months?
it doesn't dry, it's called oxidize. It oxidizes, the air interacts with the oil paint. And I haven't varnished a single painting yet. I just
Oh,
been
really?
too chicken. I don't know.
Why? What do you think would happen? Like, what can the varnish do?
I don't know. I don't want it to show streaks or something, but I'm gonna
Oh.
experiment on an older.
I mean, is it necessary to varnish it, or won't it be like
It's
shiny?
just tradition for the old
Oh, I
method,
see.
and it kind of yellows with time. So some people,
Oh.
like Fiona rather would not. She's like, please don't varnish the painting. She liked the colors.
Oh, I
It'll
see,
kind
so-
of yellow it with time. So when you don't varnish it, it just takes the initial color. It leaves the initial color.
How do you choose the colors, Fiona? Like, so, like with the picture that Teresa painted of you, it definitely has kind of like a color scheme, maybe like cream beige kind of ish, but like with yours, you're painting actual buildings. Do you try to get exactly the same color that they are, or do you try to like choose colors to maybe suggest a time of day or a light or something that you want the viewer to notice?
Well, it's kind of a hard question to answer, I understand.
Most of my questions are hard. And you know what always happens? I always ask the hardest questions right before the commercial break. But tell us as much as you can, and then if we have to go to break, we'll have more after the break. So yeah, how do you choose your colors and composition?
Well, sometimes the colors that I see or the camera picks up are not good for the composition. Because I'm working with old buildings and they get rain washed and the paint or the brick fades out. So I have to think about the emotions behind the picture, what I'm trying to portray, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
And
Like,
sometimes I change the colors on the buildings subtly, or I'll add a shadow that wasn't there to make it more dynamic, just so that the eye can travel through the painting. The paintings, the photograph is just like the maquette.
what does that mean, a maquette?
A maquette, it's like a guideline,
Oh, okay.
okay? But sometimes that's not what comes out on the actual canvas, because once you start the painting, the materials have memories, and they just take on a life of their own.
Do you ever find that when you're painting something, and if your painting would obviously be different than the picture itself because you're adding yourself to it?
No, I don't change things that much.
Like, do you ever how do you use paint to suggest the emotion? Like you were talking about how the colors kind of tell a story. How do you do that with paint?
I don't know how to answer that, I'm
That's
sorry,
hard to-
maybe Teresa can answer that.
That's a difficult
You got
question. You have to have a
Down
demonstration.
the rights here, man, I don't know.
If we were on TV, we could show you. with
So I
paint,
think
you know.
like with darkness makes it seem more serious and
Oh, the shadows.
Yeah,
Shadows.
yeah.
Well, okay, so when I wanna do a picture, then the picture has to have some kind of meaning for me. It just can't be a blah picture of a building. So I try to go out, early in the morning or towards evening when the shadows are falling thickest on the buildings, because that gives the architecture definition.
Good.
So-
Yeah. So I definitely want to hear more about like how I want to ask both of you when we get back from the break. I want to ask you both, when you start to paint a picture, does the meaning, or like in literature we would think of it as a central idea, does the meaning of the picture or the point you want to take, is that something that you're aware of before you begin, or as you begin? And I'll ask you
No.
after break. Or is it something that kind of comes to you later on as you finish it, maybe even like years later as you look back at your work?
Sometimes
Can I ask
it's
you-
years later.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk more after the break about your art and about your background and both your careers as artists. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Stay tuned. We'll have more after these commercials. Hey, welcome back to the hot seat. It's a Media Monday, and I'm here with two artists, Teresa Van Etten and Fiona O'Downey. And they're both here because actually Teresa painted a picture that was in the Munson Sidewalk Art Show that was so captivating to me. I just had to know, I had to meet the person who was featured in the portrait, you called it, right?
It's a portrait.
painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wanted to meet the artist and the subject, and it turns out that Fiona is an artist too. But Teresa actually wrote like a little essay here because on my promo for the show, I promoted the show by saying we're going to talk about, what did I say we're going to talk about on the show?
You said I should talk about my artwork, my process, and the importance of art in our culture.
She took every one of those questions and she wrote it in an essay. So let me tell. So what did you write down? So what is it? Why does this matter?
Well, my process, when you're an artist, if you
Yeah.
you have to enter your work into a gallery. Not everyone gets in. Like we were juried into. Fiona and I, our artwork was juried into the show.
What does that
Over
mean
one-
when artwork is juried? What does that mean?
Okay, some places require a deposit before they'll even look at your work. That is not refunded.
So like
Okay.
you're paying them for their
You're
time.
paying
to
for their
examine
time,
it?
sure.
Yeah.
And Munson this is special because there's no, you do pay a fee, what is it, $15. And if you have a membership, you don't have to pay. So, or if you have an EBT card, they will let you
nice,
come in for
nice.
free, which is very nice
It is
for
very
the,
good.
for the
Yes,
public.
right.
And they have a jury. I don't know who the jurors are. Some of the art
Probably not supposed to know.
professionals. Yeah, we're not. So nobody gets mad.
Yeah, nobody gets lobbied, you know.
Yeah, they turned away over 100 paintings this time,
Wow.
artworks. Yeah, so it's very it's become
Congratulations for you
competitive.
two, yeah, to be
Which
both
is
in
nice.
there.
It's an honor. And I have work in. I'm a member of Rome Art Association, and Fiona
I've seen
has
a lot of
been
your work
for
is
years.
Cinema Capital.
Cinema.
and
It just
lot
got
of
hit
it.
by a tornado.
It did. My favorite place to
Oh
go
my
to the
God.
movies, I go there about like at least every third week to see something, and I
Oh.
feel so bad. Also, Keaton Lloyd, that wonderful bookstore.
Keaton
and
Lloyd Bookstore was
Super
demolished.
official on
The
Copper
window.
Easel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam, a shout out for Adam, the owner
Yeah.
of the Copper Easel, and
Right.
Rebecca
Yeah.
Petrie. They took all of our paintings out of the show. Gary's something or other, a business across the street, was kind enough to
Yeah.
house all of our paintings
Oh,
after
nice.
they till they clean up
Yeah,
the mess.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so our membership show was postponed because of the tornado.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm also in the Kirkland Art Center. I'm
Nice.
over there, and there's so many local. I want to just shout out. There's so many local.
Yeah, what are some of the
arts
local places where
organizations.
people can, and we can put this up on the show notes too. I'll put links to all this stuff
Yeah,
as well.
well,
So.
the Other Side Gallery, Fiona had a solo show there recently.
Really?
That
Wow.
was wonderful. And I have a piece there now with the Utica Creative Reuse.
They're going to be a guest on the
organization.
show soon.
Right.
Actually, you know, actually, they were supposed to be a guest on. Well, at one time, long before I reached out to you, they were supposed to be the guest today, but then somehow I canceled them. I moved them to September, so the people I thought I was moving to September. So I was like,
Oh,
so
no.
it gets kind of confusing with the scheduling here. So,
Okay.
anyways, they are going to be on the show in the future. They're
Oh,
a
good.
really
That's a
neat
great
group.
group.
Yeah,
I
I've
did
seen
a
their stuff
workshop.
at events they've been out at.
They do
yeah.
free workshops to the
Yeah,
public.
it's great, yeah,
And anyone
yeah.
who wants to donate.
Yeah, so do I, by the
goods.
way, so I hope you come to one of my writing workshops. There's gonna be one,
Yes.
the next one is a week from
Interesting.
Wednesday at Utica Public Library, Wednesday, August 7th at 6 p.m. Utica, free.
Okay, what's the workshop topic? Down
The
this?
workshop is, it's media and journalism it's journalism and writing for digital and streaming media. So I'll
Oh.
teach people how to write a story. So you should come.
Yes,
Listen, it's
sounds
free.
great. I
Library.
hope I can put it on my
So Fiona,
schedule.
where do we see your work? You know, a show of your own at the other side. Where else?
Well,
has your
I
work
don't
shown?
have that many shows. I have maybe one show every couple of years.
And how do you choose?
Because it takes a long time to
Oh, I can
produce the
imagine.
paintings, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. It's a lot of
How do I
long
choose
process.
what?
Yeah, how do you choose? Like, say there's an art show at the Munson, or if there's a show there's some of the shows at Rome Art Community Center did, or the Rome Art Association has had at Cinema Capital. How do you know which of your pictures, what of your work is the one to put forward to submit? How do you know when you're done with a piece?
How do I know when I'm done with it?
That's a tough one,
When it no longer kicks me
right?
in the backside.
When you no longer feel like I gotta fix this or change that.
No, well, when you're done, that's it.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
just put it down, and whatever it is, I never work on it.
Really? So
anymore.
you just know, and that's
Yeah,
it.
it's done. The canvas is covered or whatever, I'm done. I put it away, and sometimes I put them away for like 10, 12, 15 years, and I don't show them.
Really?
I just have them stacked up in price chopper bags in my back room.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then every once in a while, I'll get out an old one, I'll look at it. If somebody wants it, they can
Yeah.
have it, or sometimes I just give them away.
Is it ever hard? Is it ever painful to be done with a picture?
No, it's very liberating.
So there's
Yeah.
never been one where you enjoyed painting it so much that you wanted to go on forever.
No.
No.
Oh, you gotta
How about
force
you,
yourself.
Teresa?
You gotta
No.
force. I have to force myself to stop, or you kill it.
No.
Yeah.
You can overwork it.
I find it hard at times with my writing to stop on certain things. I've been doing
Right.
this article, Sorry for a book I want to write about the rural sitcoms of the 60s, and I've been working on it for a year, and I got to force myself to get it to stop because I like to write it so much. So
I have read like
it's
that
funny.
too.
Yeah, that can happen with me. So
Yeah.
with
But
your
then you
art
chop it
though,
down.
when you're done, you're done.
That's right.
Now, have
Well,
you
for
ever
me,
painted?
I don't go back and I don't revisit a piece. Even if after I look at it after 10 years, if there's something that I don't like about it, I won't ever touch it up, I won't change it.
Would you repaint something else?
No,
like
I don't
that?
repaint, no. I'll do a scene one time,
Uh-huh.
and that's it,
And that's it.
that's it.
So you never painted a scene twice.
No,
How about you, Teresa? Have you ever painted something more than once? Give it another shot, or another
I
angle,
believe
or
so. I'm trying to think. I'm not a plein air painter, but I went with the view up. It's View. They don't want you to say the View because that's a
the
television
TV show? Yeah.
Up in Old Forge, I went plein air painting with. They call themselves mountain air painters,
Okay.
and I just did this acrylic quick landscape of the Green Bridge area, looking over the water, and I got an honorary mention or something, and I donated it. Everybody has to donate a piece.
Yeah.
They don't have to, but it's to raise money for the art
To
center.
keep it going. Right?
And then I did another one of that area, so it was similar, and that's one I kept for myself. And I've shown it a couple times. I guess nobody wanted to buy it. You don't know what hits people. I changed so many times. Nobody wants to buy. Have you seen Harry Potter? Okay.
Yes, yep. Right.
When you have my house is full of portraits of all these people that were models.
Oh,
I've done a portrait of both of my sons. I've done my boyfriend 3 times, I think, and it's not finished yet. I overwork it, but I want it to be just right, and then I gotta stop. But who wants to buy a portrait of someone you don't know unless you live like a Harry Potter in his, what's the big castle they live in, or the
in
Hogwarts
yeah.
School, and the paintings will come to life and everything, and sometimes they
so
do
is
in my
that what you
imagination.
always paint, or portraits?
For 8 years. It's about
portrait
my
painting.
focus, because
Yeah.
I keep taking the studio class or the Julia's class. But in between, I do flowers. I'm obsessed with Siberian irises.
Really? Why?
Well, they're different than any other iris. The leaves are strong, and I cut them in the fall or in the spring, usually, but they've been wintered. And I cut them up and I cook them and I make paper out of them.
Oh yeah.
And then I make sculpture out of the paper.
Wait, where do you get them?
In my boyfriend's yard.
Oh, okay. So there are irises that people grow around here.
Yeah, Siberian irises. It's been very hot this summer.
Yeah.
They blossomed and died out the flower in like a week because it was 90-degree days.
Oh,
when
yeah,
they popped open.
yeah.
And I was so heartbroken. But anyway, I was sitting and painting them. I do paintings. I did sell a painting of my Siberian irises.
So do
last
you
year.
choose your paintings based on like what appeals to you, not thinking about like what will people buy?
Oh, you know what? That's a trap. You have to
probably
listen
can't
to your own muse.
Listen to your,
I can't do it to sell money. Ask any artist. If I'm doing this to earn money, the creative muse dies.
Right.
You have to.
Same with writing too. It's
Is
like
it?
that. Yeah, it's like
I
right.
can understand, right?
So now, when you both were children and picked up your crayons or finger paints, did you demonstrate like some kind of unusual ability even at that young age? Like, was there something about your crayon colors or with markers? Like did you always know that you had this ability, this talent?
No.
I always knew I wanted to be an artist.
So you always knew you wanted to.
Yeah, my mother was an artist of sorts, and I wanted to be a sculptor. And as I grew older in high school,
So did you like use Play-Doh and clay as a child?
I made mud pies,
Okay.
and
So you were
collected
doing it
glass
at a
bottles.
young age, like you just naturally knew.
Yeah, I was working with the mud. I love
Yeah.
mud and clay, and paint. But I always knew I wanted to be an artist, and my parents wouldn't let me go to art school, so they sabotaged it. So I
Wow.
did it later in life. Yeah.
Good for you.
My father was an engineer. If it's
Yeah.
not math or
This
science,
is very
it's not worth it.
concrete kind of way of
Oh
looking
yeah,
at
but
it
then he
also.
loved my artwork later.
Oh,
I
nice.
was like,
So he came around.
yeah. It's just parents want you to do practical things, right?
Yeah, the
and-
things that do make money.
Yeah, well,
it can be hard, but you got to do what your heart says. It's like. So,
Yeah.
Fiona, how about you? When did you decide that you wanted to be an artist, or when did you first show some talent in that regard?
Well, I was always painting since I was a young girl, but I never pursued it. And then I went to college for social work.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't like the profession, even though I was good at it. I didn't care for it.
What did you like about it?
I didn't like the administrators.
Yeah.
I loved the patients, but I didn't like the administrators. So I left the profession after about 10 years. And I came up here and I went to Munson's. And I put myself through, except for, 9 credits. And then I started to do work and show, and it just took off by itself.
So what was the first painting that you ever each painted that sold, that won a prize? So
It's
that
a
made you feel
funny
like,
story, I'll tell you.
tell me, yeah.
Okay, here's this funny story. I was 10 years old. I was living on Hart Street, in 1959 during the Beatnik era, and
Yes.
over by Hart Street they had Utica College,
Okay. Oh,
and they used to have all the students over there, and so they had an underground cafe that they considered a Beatnik cafe.
Cool. Oh,
wow,
nice.
this is so great.
On Hart Street or no?
In
No,
Utica?
it was on Oneida Square.
In Utica?
Oneida Square.
Oh my
Oneida
gosh.
Square, right.
Oh.
So all the students used to go there.
Wow.
Cool.
So one day I got this book, I don't know, I guess my mother had, of paintings of Pablo Picasso. And I took a big piece of cardboard and I copied one of the paintings of the faces of Picasso. And I got completely dressed as a beatnik.
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
And I went, and it was night, I think it was about 9 o'clock, and I went over to this cafe and I stood on the sidewalk with my painting. And I held the
I wish I
painting
had
up.
pictures.
Oh my gosh.
And
this is
some
so-
girl came out of the basement of the cafe and she gave me 50 cents for it.
Oh, good for you. You
Yeah.
sold your first painting.
And I was 10 years old, so
Oh, you
there-
were 10.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So there was my
That's
star.
So that was your star.
There was
I
my
love
star
that.
selling paintings on the street as
I
a
love
pseudo,
that.
as a
That's
pseudo
so cool.
beatnik.
So Teresa, when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask you, like, when you sold your first painting, or when you first like
idea.
realized, like, you know what, this is something I'm going to put my time into, or this is what I'm going to do, or go to school for. We'll talk a bit more about that, and then in this third part, after the break, we'll talk more about why is art important, like in our modern times or culture. Why is it relevant? Why does it matter? Why do that? Also, when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk to Ravenswood Bookstore. We're going to talk about the blockbuster film Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm just blanking on the title here, and also like what's happening in Marvel Comics. It's a #1 film. We'll have a little bit about that after the break. Then we'll continue our discussion with Teresa Van Etten and Fiona O'Downey. You're in the hot seat on this Media Monday. Stay tuned.
Step into a world of flavor and enchantment at One Arabian Night located
Oh,
at
that's so
706
cool.
Barrett Street, where the rich and vibrant
Talking to Teresa Van Etten, who had a painting in the Munson Sidewalk Art Show, and I'm also talking to another artist, Fiona O'Downey, who was in the painting that Teresa submitted. We're going to talk to them more about their art and why art is important in our modern culture more than ever. But first, we're going to check in with Nabil at Ravenswood Comics, because this past weekend, Deadpool and Werewolf broke all the box office records for an R-rated film. It's hysterical. It's funny. You can kind of see why I got the R, but hey, it's a great film. So I want to see. I loved it. So Nabil, what did you think of Deadpool and Werewolf this weekend?
I have nothing to say.
Nabil, I'm not sure you're here. Give me a second. I'm going to try to boost up the mics here. Nabil, I'm sorry, but I think we're having a technical issue here with the phone, so I think we're going to have to. Oh wait, I think we got the solution to a technical issue here. I didn't press the button here, so. Nabil, are you there? I can sort of hear you, but we just can't hear you on the air. So let me make sure that we pressed in the right stuff here. I'll try this one more time here. So, Nabil, I think what we'll have to do, why don't we do this again next week, okay? We'll talk about that. It's still going to be, I'm sure, #1, and we'll talk more about the Marvel Comics Cinematic Universe. Can we do this next week?
Sure.
Oh, hey, you're here. Oh my gosh. All right. So Nabil, welcome to the show. So Deadpool and werewolf.
Wolverine.
Wolverine. Oh my God, I've said that three times now. So, I get a little nervous sometimes with these buttons here. I press the wrong thing and you don't hear the right person. And anyways, so tell me about, you got to see it on Thursday night. So a sneak preview. How did that come about?
So a lot of times when they have these new Marvel movies, I kind of link up with our local theater in the area, Marquee, and we set up a little sneak preview showing. So it's always something fun to do when you got two longtime businesses in the area working together.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to be in get to one of these sneak previews too. So
I can definitely keep an invite for you for the next time we do this.
I was gonna say, so next time this comes up, don't forget your buddy Ron here at the Hot Seat Medium Minute, because I love this kind of stuff. Oh, too, my husband too. He's like, we gotta get 2 tickets because he's a huge Marvel fan. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
So he has a question. I'm just going to go to his question here. So he
Sure.
wants me to ask you what you think about Robert Downey Jr. being announced as a new Doctor Doom at Comic-Con.
Oh, very controversial, but I'm excited to have him back in the Marvel Universe in any way he wants to be in it.
You think it's gonna
he did
work?
a great job being Iron Man for more than 10 years.
yeah.
So if he thinks
yeah.
he's up to the challenge for Doctor Doom, I'm willing to give him a shot.
Well, and he obviously thinks he is, and I mean, I'm sure that Marvel thinks he's worth. I'm sure they're paying him a lot to do this. So
Yeah.
So now, one of the interesting things about Deadpool was that it was kind of meta. Like they really talked a lot about how they had gotten how the Walt Disney Company now has, if I'm understanding this right, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The Walt Disney now has full rights to all the intellectual properties. Whereas in the past, Fox had X-Men?
So back in the 90s, Marvel themselves were not doing so hot, and they sold off the rights to almost all their film, properties. So when Disney bought out Marvel Comics, they slowly kind of had to acquire them back, and Deadpool and the X-Men are kind of part of the last holdouts. So they have everything that Fox owned, which were those.
So now they have they have all of the properties. So they
they've got access to every single thing. There's only one that they don't own outright, but they still get to use them because they have a deal for Spider-Man. Sony owns that, but Sony is smart and they play ball with Marvel. So.
Oh, so that's why there's Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man's in the Avengers, because they
exactly
agree to share the property rights to the character.
Yep.
So are you expecting to see like an increase in sales for the Marvel comic books because of this? Are there any new titles coming out because of the film?
There's always a little bit of uptake. It's hard to say 100% which ones people go for. I mean, Deadpool has his own comic, Wolverine has his own, and some of those are already kind of existing. So, sometimes people just walk in and pick them up, and sometimes they're a little intimidated because they're already going, but. The X-Men comics are in the middle of a reboot right now, which means they're all kind of going back to #1. That started this month in July. I'm sure it's not a coincidence. I'm sure they planned it with this new movie in mind.
So people that want to get into them can kind of start over
Exactly. Right now is a great time to get into the comics. If you're an X-Men fan of any kind, they're putting out a bunch of new #1s so people can get in right now.
So let me ask you. So I was having a conversation today at work. I'm teaching summer school with my 10th graders. We're having a discussion about this. So we were wondering, what we were talking about was what superhero, and it could be DC or Marvel, which one do you think has the best villains? I mean, my guess is I'm going to go with Batman because you got the Joker.
I think I gotta agree with you. You know what I mean? Joker is pretty iconic.
Nothing really compares to that. So many iconic. So is Catwoman. So is the Riddler. So is all of them. The Penguin. My gosh, it's incredible.
That is arguably one of Batman's biggest contributions, right? His rogues gallery.
Exactly. Yes. Right. Yep. So let me ask you. So before I go, we might remember to keep me on the guest list for the next sneak preview there, I gotta ask you now, do you have any inside information, any previews you can give us about what the Agatha series is going to be like? Because I don't know if you know this, but WandaVision is literally one of my all-time favorite shows. I actually have a whole lesson I teach of this with summer school with the kids. I love Wanda, and I've been waiting for like 5-6 years now for this Agatha spin-off, and it's finally going to happen. Right?
So the date for that one is September 18th. So we're not far out from that. I know it's a mini-series. I would not be surprised if we saw some familiar faces from WandaVision.
Let's hope.
I would say that the rumor mill is big that we might see Wanda's kids in it.
Hey,
you know, the ones that she was hunting the whole multiverse to find.
Right.
So something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. I still hope that she gets a happy ending. I still want Marvel to give her, a happy ending. So.
We'll see. I mean, for now they want us to think she's dead, so it's just a question of whether or not we believe them.
Oh, hey, one more question. This is from my husband, too. So he asked about there's going to be a TVA comic with Miss Minutes is going to be added to it.
There is. I believe they just announced that at Comic-Con.
So for Loki
fans, I want to say that probably comes out around November or December.
And of course, the TVA is also featured quite a bit in
Deadpool, right?
Deadpool. Now that I said Daredevil once, I'm going to try to say that to be honest. But anyways, thank you so much for calling in with this update. You're always welcome to come on the show. You're my expert with all comic things and superhero movies and all that cool stuff. Thank you for being on the show. Check out Ravenswood Comics. They get new comics every Wednesday. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
So, Teresa.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, So, Teresa and Fiona, the question is, why is art important? Did I turn their lights?
No. You're fine.
Oh, they're on.
You're fine.
So, the question is, why is art important in contemporary society? Like, why do it? Why have
Because
museums?
contemporary society is dead and you need art to nourish your soul.
How does
Yes,
it do that?
very
Take it
good.
away, Teresa.
That's good.
I like that answer. Get right to the point.
That was excellent. Right along what I wrote a little
Well, you
thing
go
here.
ahead.
Teresa's
Art-
going to talk about this.
Art saves lives, okay? I used to have an art therapist, and the Mohawk Valley is really hurting for art therapists because art is therapy. And there are trained, certified therapists. New York State recognizes that can use art to help trauma, PTSD. My art therapist did her internship at the Canandaigua Veterans Hospital using art therapy to help veterans heal from PTSD. And so art saves lives, literally.
Yeah.
Also, involving children in the arts has proven to increase their academic scores. When I worked in Corning for the 171 Cedar Art Center, which is a fantabulous art center in Corning, Lois Weld was the director, administrator. She got a $3.2 million grant from the state of New York back in the 90s.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I was so privileged to be on the faculty there. I got free tickets to Ray Brown, a jazz trio. He worked with Quincy Jones. And I brought my kids to that. I mean, it was
Must have been a great
outstanding.
experience.
It was my dream job, and it went away when Corning took the photonics lab to China. 1,500 jobs were lost in the city of Corning. Corning was devastated. My pay dropped.
Wow.
People didn't want to send kids to art classes because they had to eat.
They didn't have the
had to buy
money for it.
groceries and pay their mortgage and their bills. So anyway, they used to send me to these seminars called Artists Who Teach.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't have a master's degree, but I'm a bachelor's, and
Yeah.
So I would teach, and they said I learned that children involved in the arts, it's proven that their academic scores increase.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
mandatory that schools teach art, theater, drama,
Right.
music,
All
the
the
arts.
arts,
Has proven to raise gives children an interest in life. It promotes creativity. Also, therefore, in our area, in the Mohawk Valley, we have so many arts organizations. We are thriving. I moved back here 11 years ago. And I've lived in Philadelphia, I've lived in New York City, and I've lived in Detroit. And arts are big in the big cities. But Utica, it's booming. And
Right. We're so lucky we have all these museums and
Yeah.
theater groups and.
I know the Uptown Theater, the
Yeah.
Improv, they
Right
do
there, yes,
every
we have
Wednesday
that. Yep,
night.
Yep.
Little Falls, Mohawk Valley Center for the Arts. I was fortunate to be a collaborator with my other artist friends. We did the Women Paint Women show for Women's History Month, and
Right.
Fiona's portrait was in that
No,
show.
that was what you originally painted that for that show, right? I think you
No,
said?
well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, we came up with this collaboration. Okay, we always take Yulia's classes together, Yulia Lefkovich.
Who is
And
that?
Sally Kassler, Maggie Peterson, Virginia Keith, Cheryl Montana Fletcher, myself, and I'm forgetting somebody. I knew I should have brought my book with me.
So these are
And Yulia,
classes.
our teacher, yeah,
Okay.
she
And
showed
she's
with
a
us.
teacher at Munson.
She teaches at Pratt and Munson.
Pratt and Munson,
Both, they're
yeah.
two separate entities.
Oh, they're separate.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pratt is a very expensive
College,
school,
the college,
for
right.
credit. Munson School of Art now is a community arts classes.
Oh, I see.
It's non-credited.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, years ago it was a school of art with credit with MVCC.
Through MVCC, yeah.
So anyway, the six of us artists, we even made a book of our portraits.
Really?
Women Paint Women. It's for sale
Nice.
in the Munson
Oh, so people
gift
can buy
shop.
this then.
Yeah,
In the
come
gift
and
shop.
buy it.
And it has a picture of Fiona.
There's a
in
picture
this?
of Fiona in
Nice.
it, yes, and Sylvia
Nice.
DeSwan, who recently passed away.
Yeah, and she
Um,
made a huge impact in this area.
Oh my God, she was one of the founders of
Sculpture
Sculpture
Space.
Space.
Right.
You know, she was key in making it an international
Yeah.
art center. We have artists from all over the world that come and do residencies.
How is Sculpture Space now? Because last I knew, like, it was vandalized.
Oh,
and
it's
is it-
fantastic.
Has it been
Oh,
rebuilt and fixed?
So many volunteers in the area
Yeah.
came and helped them. Donations to bring it back to
Nice.
pay. I mean, it was so devastating. They even, I don't know the results of this, but they were talking about the young people that did the damage.
Yeah.
Instead of sending them to jail, they wanted to work out a way that they can help
Wow.
rebuild like the Native Americans do. They do
That's
this
really nice.
circle when
Yeah.
somebody does an offense.
Right,
They
right.
can
Yeah.
help be part of restoration.
There's a book about that, Touching Spirit Bearer, that we read in 8th grade, so yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Touching Spirit Bearer. It was a book that I
Touching
taught in 8th
Spirit-
grade,
oh,
yeah. It was
wow.
about that, about
I'd like to read
the
that.
restorative justice kind of thing.
Restorative justice.
So, Fiona, before we run out of time, tell me more about this Beatnik Cafe that was in
I know.
Utica in the 50s.
Well, it was on Oneida Square, and it was, I can't really remember, I guess it was on the opposite side of Oneida Square. And it was just a little picnic type cafe where they used to have poetry readings. And the students used to go there. But I used to go there and hang out outside.
So, who are your favorite artists?
Well, I like Charles Sheeler and all of the precissionists. I don't really have a favorite. Are you talking about regional or?
Well, I don't know, like who inspires you to think? You know, I like how they did this. For me, honestly, people laugh, but I really mean this. Barbara Walters. You know, I think she was the best interviewer and the best news person that I experienced throughout my lifetime as a viewer. You know, I never met her for real, but I think that it's, you know, you see people like that, and you think like. Sometimes you study a bit. I mean, of course she's died, but you know, it's like I watch her YouTube videos and times and think like that was a good way to ask that question. So, do you ever see other works of art and think, you know what, the way that they captured that light, or the way that they got that color of the neon sign, like I gotta see how they did that.
Oh yeah, yes. I do have people like that I'm inspired by their work. But mainly, my work is inspired by the work of the precisionists. Precisionist movement was an American Cubist movement. They came about in the 1920s, and by the 1930s it had died out. You know, the precisionists were called that because their work was very clean, and they looked at the American manifest destiny in the 1920s. And they really thought that industrialization was God. So they painted that, and they painted the factories and the cities. And you know, we don't feel that way today. We don't think today, 100 years on, that industrialization is God.
Right, right.
So my work has to speak to a newer group of people. It can't just be, you know, completely derivative. So my work is really based on the cubism of Picasso and Braque. And I consider myself an American precisionist and a cubist, because precisionism is architecture based on cubism.
And I assume like it's drawn to scale. Is that part of the precision?
Yes,
Like-
it's it's drawn to scale. So you really have to have a background in architectural drawing, which I do. And if I didn't have that background, I probably couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, before we go, first of all, thank you both for being here. You guys
you're
are such
welcome.
cool guests. I want you to come back soon. But before we go, I'm going to ask you both, like, what are you working on now? So we have 1 minute left to the show. I give you a minute to compose it. There's no time to write an essay about that.
doing
But
a-
I am
doing a
so
portrait.
impressed with your preparation for the show. It's like,
I'm not working on anything because I don't have any room where I live.
She's moving.
But
into
you're
the
working on
whole
moving to a new
But
apartment.
I'm gonna be moving to the Ogleston Apartments.
I love that. That's so cool.
In September, where I'll be establishing a new studio.
Wow.
And I'm very
It's
excited
exciting.
about it because I only produce one painting in a whole year, and usually I'm pretty prolific. I can do 4 or 5 maybe, you know.
So you're waiting to get started back up?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's coming up, and I'm very excited about that.
Do you have any ideas?
I have scores of ideas. As a matter of fact, I've been out. I went to the Valley, to Mohawk, to Ilion, looking for new subject matter.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I think that if I can get somehow sneak on to the what's that factory where they produce guns?
Remington?
Remington.
If I could somehow get a long focus lens or sneak onto that
That'd be interesting. yeah.
factory, I can do some really good shots
Yeah.
and do some good work.
See, it's
Uh,
historic, your work.
It is
But
historic,
it's
yeah,
gonna
right.
take a little bit of time, you know.
Yeah.
I have to go there when the guards aren't around.
Well, the cars may not be, I don't know, are they still even open there now? So
They're not open, but
But they probably do have it locked up though.
they do have it locked up. You can't really go onto
Yeah.
that campus,
But that would be a good idea.
I can get
Historic,
some
yeah.
good ideas
Oh, I'm sure
from
you
that.
can. Teresa, what do you working on? We have 30 seconds left.
Oh, I'm taking the class, the master copy class in the museum, the Hudson River School artist landscapes. I'm copying a landscape, and with my class, it's a golden opportunity. Not many museums let students do that.
Yeah, that does sound great. Yeah.
So we have and Yulia Lefkovich is the teacher.
Oh.
I can't say enough good things about her.
She sounds amazing. Yeah.
She is
yeah, I'll take her
incredible.
on the show sometime too.
Oh
so
yeah, you should see her work.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
I will. Well,
you.
thank you both. And so, like,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to put on our website, uticaphoenix.net, I'll have this whole entire interview and some show notes. So if you have links to where to see your work, websites where to buy your work, I'll put that on the show notes and stuff. Thank you both for being here.
You're very
Teresa
welcome.
Van Etten and Fiona O'Downey, you're both so cool. I love this.
Oh,
I
thank
feel
you.
like we're
This is fun.
Beatniks here.
I
This is
hope
going great. This is
I
great.
hope my stories were entertaining.
They
enough.
were, and I'm so glad I got to
We have
meet
to
you. You're so
restore the
cool.
Beatniks,
Like you
I know.
kind of like lived up to your photo there. You're as cool as I hope
Thank you so
and
much.
so are
Ron.
you, of course. And
Aw.
thanks, Jay-Z, for your help. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be back
Thank
next
you.
week. Next Monday, meet me in the hot seat every Monday at 5 on 95.5 FM The Heat. Now, I'm going to kick things over to Jay Easy with the Easy Ride Home.
Oh,
Yeah.